It's Shelly Stokes, or one of my rants. It's been quite a while. I think the last one was for a convention. So now we are going to go, and for some reason I got motivated to decide to review some movies I've watched. And they're mostly, I'd say all are independent. One's kind of not as independent, but still, it's not something you can usually buy at a local place. As you can notice, we're outside of my backyard, which might be the reason why you might hear some traffic. Other than that, um, and it's a normal day. So we're going for a little different atmosphere this time. Um, be ready. I've got 4 movies to review, and you know what happens when I have a drink and it starts reviewing, and I can hear some other noise. So it'll be really interesting. Luckily, my big mouth will carry. So first off, in the Doctor Who TARDIS class, which you cannot see, David's doing stuff. He decides to level things right now, so this will be funny. You just saw it. So hopefully we'll move on past these hiccups. First thing, let's have a drink. Today's drink is Cherry Rum and Coke Zero. Maybe not the drink of champions, but drink of girls, but for sure. So, the first of the 4 movies I'm reviewing is the Italian zombie movie. I got this at Cinema Wasteland, I think last year. Um, more than a year ago now, the first time I went to Cinema Wasteland. And there was a local filmmaker and they had it there, so I decided to try it out. It's the Grindhouse cut. Now, I just finished watching this movie. My first comment to make is when I did speak to the filmmaker at the table, they did mention it took them about 7 years to film this. So with that in mind, I will not criticize too much on film quality throughout that time period, because obviously HD camcorders weren't as big and readily available as they are now, so some of the film has a different look to it. And when you're an independent filmmaker, it's either some HD camera now, it could be some back in the day it would have been a different type of camera. Don't ask me, I only know the little surrounding bits of it. So film quality, I will not make any comment on how it looks. I will, however, make one comment. For independent films, especially horror films, that's HORROR, because my pronunciation sounds like whore instead. For independent scary movies, horror, however you want to say it, usually an hour and a half is kind of the tap out period. It's not to say you can't have great movies outside that tap out period, but usually you get in a realm of where you start losing your attention. So with that said, this is a 2-hour movie. Now I will say it picked up quick, it moved along, but they probably could have cut maybe at least 15 minutes, probably even a half an hour here and there. Now don't ask me what they could have cut, because I swear they threw everything but the kitchen sink in this movie. I think the finest parts, and I don't want to come off as someone that criticizes people constantly, but I will give your cons and pros. The best parts, obviously, it's got that old school looking zombies from back in the day, just straight practical effects, kind of grimy look of it that every great movie from the 80s on VHS was, and this kind of feels exactly like an 80s VHS movie. Now with that all said, I have no idea why they called it Italian zombie movie, except for one or two things. One, there were zombies, which they weren't. Maybe it was supposed to be filmed in Italy, but it sure didn't look like any place in Italy, I would imagine. It looked like somewhere in the woods in the US or maybe Canada. I haven't been to Canada, I can always, but presumably they like filming there a lot, thinking it's different places in the US. So one of those places. There was a map to a campground that says Italy on it, so maybe that's what they mean. And maybe that the main well, not the main character, the main asshole character, I would say, Ruggiero, I cannot pronounce his name, wearing an Italian shirt, maybe that was supposed to be the Italian part. So the gore was great, it was fun, it was classic, it was good. The characters, however, now I'm not going to be the snob, but usually in a movie, you have to like at least one type of character or one character. I've never seen the most group of unlikable characters in my life. Now, the females all seem to be trying to jump from from a dead husband at the funeral to hit on his twin brother, aka Anna, who's also psychic, a woman who was a stripper who became an assistant to a doctor who wants to just get knocked up and married to some asshole guy, or a female that was supposed to be an independent woman that's not really at all. It just kind of very feminist, but to shove your face down it. The male characters, well, the king asshole character of this is Ruggiero. Don't even ask me what his name is, to be honest. I've never met a character I've wanted to kill more in the first 5 minutes. And he lived throughout most of that film. I'm still confused how. He's not smart. He thinks he is. I think he says his what he loves doing is in a deaf neighborhood, he loves teasing the handicapped. Obviously, you can see why I don't want to watch over 2 hours of this asshole being in a movie. Outside of that, there were some jumping around points, mostly because they have a bunch of different characters in the movie and different side stories. The only thing I can assume is because it took them the 7 years of filming, they probably have different actors and characters coming in and out, so to fill a whole movie, they kind of had these different side stories. Now, the important part, so it's not to end on a negative note, would I recommend this movie? So I don't know. It depends really what, as I heard in a documentary on, what is your tolerance level? So what is your tolerance level? Honestly, I'm quite surprised I sat through the whole 2 hours. It should have been really, if it was an hour and a half, I could deal with it a little bit better. It wasn't an expensive movie, so it was worth a try, but with that said, I would probably like to see their more recent efforts because it just seemed really long and some of the characters made me want to hit them. When I thought a woman was turning things around, I was like, okay, good, tell that effort to back off. It didn't really work. And she still wanted to be with him. Sorry, I'm doing one segment. There is a whole other different side stories, but really, it was okay. So, I probably wouldn't recommend this for most people. If you ask me to give a star rating, which I hate doing that, maybe 4 to 5. It just really depends on what type of movie you like. Most people I know might find this as a great cheesy movie to talk about. Like, maybe I'll show it for that type of movie. But with that said, extra points for the filmmakers for sticking through it. They put 7 years of blood, sweat, and tears in it. So, the Italian zombie movie, The Grindhouse Cut. With all that said, I will probably try and find some of the sequels, 2 or 3 or 4 even, just to see how it is, see if the quality's improved or if the characters have improved, really, more than anything. Next is a movie that I actually really love. It is The Uh-Oh Show by the legendary Herschel Gordon Lewis. So there's many reasons I love this movie and why I was interested in it. One is primarily it's filmed in Tampa Bay area. Now, though I don't live in Tampa anymore, I'm very pro local filmmaking and local filmmaking groups. Even if they're not the greatest, I'm all for it. And it might be because I have a lot of friends, well, lots stressing it. I have some friends that do filmmaking. I see what they put in. I see things. And I love watching a movie where I can say, oh, I know where that is, or those are my people right there. And this movie really feels like it. Brooke McCarter's in it, who I guess his claim to fame is The Lost Boys, but he's done a lot on, if you've been to any of the cons, the Tampa filmmaking thing, Splatter, David, was it Splatter Theater? Was it that we went to? It was Splatter Theater, that they had a little short film, short acting off 7th Avenue at Silver Meteor Gallery, yeah. He was in that, and it was just, that's the main character, he plays Jackie. He was a game show host for Blood and Gore. This movie is many a years old now. I remember buying it some years back, and the fact that it's Herschel Gordon, the fact that Brooke McCarter's in it, the fact that Joel Wynkoop is in it, who's kind of like the local B-movie guy in our area. He's done other, people have known him outside of it, but seriously, you can find this guy anywhere in Tampa. So he plays the bad, I don't know, producer, head of the show, whatever you want to say it. There's also a bunch of other people in this movie that's fun. This movie's like the right length of time. It feels not too long. It's got plenty of blood and gore if you like that sort of thing, which of course I do. It's got a fun little way of saying this is the next generation of where we're going in a culture if all we do is watch reality TV and shows and stuff. I know that concept is thought of before, but just the cheesy goreness of it is fun. It's a fun movie all the way around. I also like to say, um, big thumbs up for, I didn't realize at the time, my friend Clayton's in it. He's one of the security guards. We'll have to ask him if there's a specific scene where how much of was padded versus not padded. And if you see this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's tons of cameos from local people. Another notable one would be the Hare Krishna zombie from the original Dawn of the Dead, Mike Christopher. So that's another great person in it. Blood. Lloyd Kaufman. As always, if there's a low budget movie in the world, Lloyd Kaufman has to make a cameo. Best version of a pimp I've seen in a long time. It's fun to watch, laugh, see the blood and gore, just all great things in this movie. There's not one part of it I don't like. I did listen to the commentary today. I didn't listen to the Herschel Gordon one. I did listen to the Britt McCart and Joel Wynkoop one, and that one's a pretty damn good commentary. I would highly recommend even listening to the commentary. I do also own the documentary that Cult Movie Mania did. That was behind the scenes of the show. It was good to see how it kind of filmed out, but personally, it was not the most exciting documentary behind the scenes. But either way, if we're rating this on how much I love this movie, I give this about an 8. Not my greatest movie of all time, but I've watched this like 4 or 5 times. I'll watch it again. I might show it if I'm going to have another fun movie night with friends. And everyone, there's not been one person I've know who's watched it who hasn't loved it. And props up for being Tampa local. Okay, next. It's probably one of the newest of, actually it is the newest released of all the movies I'm reviewing tonight. It is American Holocaust. And before we move on, this one is definitely one it needs a drink moment for. So, it's presented by the Sleaze Box, but I really heard about it through Cult Movie Mania. This last year had a cult movie series, and they showed different movies intercut. Some are in Cronenberg film. Some is kind of big name, like independent films. But then they mixed it up with some local films. I think one was also Rot, which I still would love to see. I don't think that was local film, but it's got so many locally involved people in that one. Want to check out. They also had something called Tater City. No, Tater Burger? Tater City, I think. Weird Italian movie with the weirdest amount. It's just weird. I'll review that another time. But now we're talking about American Holocaust. So when I went to see this, I was primarily seeing this because my friend Kelly is in this movie. She's actually one of the female victims in the movie, the mother and wife who was in it.
I had to walk up to it.
Well, I'm not walking up. So it's called American Holocaust. You can get either the Sleaze Box site or Cult Movie Mania. So what this movie's about, this is, of all the movies today, this is definitely the most serious one in the group. So what's it about? It's kind of a found footage, and it looks very VHS style. I know it was filmed recently, so obviously their editing made magic happen with this. The story is of two Vietnam vets who somehow back there they found their little what drew them and inspired them. And it wasn't just, hey, fighting and killing for your country. It was really learning to torture and kill. And one of the guys, the main guy, has a wife. And throughout this movie, you see him almost as separating his life between her and him and his former military compatriot, kidnapping these women, torturing, degrading them. I will tell you, there is nudity in this film from a female and male nudity. If that weirds you out, maybe you should just not bother watching it. But if you do, you're really missing out on an interesting film. This is one of those movies you wonder, whoa, who came up with this idea really must have some, it's good that they're getting this out through film versus, like, through other habits. Because if they did, they would probably be in trouble. Great kind of found footage, kind of grimy looking thing. I mean, it's not just saying because my friend's in it, but seriously, I thought it was going to be a little weird seeing my friend naked, but really not at all. And it's all the women have some nudity to some extent, and the reason why is You almost see them, except the wife, of course, that I mentioned earlier. You see them as not as what they are. They are betrayed as slaves to be tortured, abused for what they are. One of the grossest scenes, or heart, like pull at the heart, involves the woman, or the woman who was kidnapped, who was married with a child, and when she is on feeding time, and kind of it just messes with your head. Whoever came up with this obviously needs to get as much accolades as they can, because it is a really twisted movie, but in a good way, and it makes you really see something. It's not something you see every day. It's just, I don't know what else to say, but it does have probably some of the best lines. So I will say, I didn't mention this with zombie, um, the Italian zombie movie. They have some funny lines that are kind of so bad that they're good, kind of on the bigoted, jackass, stupid lines. These movies has this has probably one of the best lines I've ever heard. One of the guys asked, "Do you why didn't you use a condom?" The other his other little captain, I can't remember if he was his captain or whatever in the military, says, "I'm raping and I'm raping women. It kind of defeats the purpose to use a condom." I think that kind of says it all about everything. Um, it's different feel as the other movies. Like I said, it's not a funny movie. It's a movie that you need to be in the zone and watch, and it really can mess you up if you aren't ready for the preparation. Me, however, I'm a dark soul naturally, so I enjoyed it, and I was just giving my friend accolades left and right on being in it. Ranking, definitely another 8. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed also that all locally filmed, all locally done. Um, Outside of that, it's just a good movie. Very serious compared to the other two, which are humorous. Now, our final movie for today, Werewolf Fever. This one's good. Definitely need a drink. Just one more for fun. So, of all the films we have today, because I'm pretty sure the Italian zombie film was not filmed. I think it was filmed somewhere in the U.S. Don't ask me where. This one is the only one international. So what that means, really, and I say international like it was filmed in like South America somewhere. No, it was filmed in Canada, but we don't. It's still outside this country, despite what some backwards people in the U.S. probably think. This was filmed in Canada, and it was filmed in a small city in Canada, like a little town that you would probably drive past. Guess the equivalent of that would be is if I drove through Tennessee or Nashville to Florida, and I decided to drive through Alabama, and basically anywhere in Alabama that's nowhere near. That would be the equivalent of the city. So the movie Werewolf Fever is about, it's barely a feature length. Why I say that is 66 minutes. Now you know why we want speed bumps out on that main road. It's barely 66 minutes. So it is a feature by all definition, but this is cutting it really quick and close. But with all that said, you can see the effort they put in, and it's a fast 66 minutes. So you feel it out pretty well. What it's about really is there's this little, kind of like a Sonic around here, except smaller and mom and pop owned, where they sell burgers. And there's a mystery werewolf. One of the employees that went out, who's the delivery driver, came back, and he's a werewolf, and he wants to kill everyone. The front of this shows the infamous, I guess, first victim-ish person, the roller girl who lost her leg, and it went and rolled with just a roller skate, which is kind of funny. So, what do I think of this movie? Well, one, being that 66 minutes, you automatically get you get through things move really quickly. Pacing is like go and done. You're moving things really quickly. I've said that like 3 times. I think the drink is starting to hit in. And David's shaking his head off scene, screen, whatever. If I was a filmmaker, I'd be making films and not reviewing them. Reviewing them for free, might I add. So back to the point. At this place, there's a werewolf. And there basically is a kill fest for trying to kill everyone who works there. People are trying to get out. There's a bunch of ragtag, weirdo, goofball characters. Maybe not weirdo, just goofball. Um, one of the actors plays three roles. He plays the guy who becomes the werewolf, his twin brother who gets killed earlier on, no spoiler or anything, and then the werewolf itself. The rest of the cast there's some odd little characters in there, but nothing weirds out. I would say I wonder if it was filmed almost chronologically. The day scenes in the very beginning, the main female actress who plays Mandy, in the beginning, some of her acting seemed a little, well, it's not the best acting in the beginning, but I noticed throughout the film she obviously got significantly better. So I'll give it up to maybe it's the first few days of shooting and things didn't work out, trying to catch on, and that's how it goes. But other than that, the acting's pretty decent. Obviously, no one's winning Academy Awards, but really, of all the movies, no one's winning Academy Awards. I would say I never got out of the scene. It didn't make me think of whatever. Except, like I said, the first few minutes where certain people were just catching on and so on. Other than that, so that's the acting point. The blood and guts were as much fun as they usually are, and like I said, the roller skating leg remover was really good. Miss Twisted Person, when literally that leg got taken off and was attacked, I thought there was going to be a werewolf rape attack, but far be it for me, there is no werewolf rape attack, so for those who are into that sort of thing, I guess you're going to have to find another movie. What else? Blood, gore, it's fun. It's really, there's no backstory on why there's a werewolf attacking people randomly. There's no backstory of why there's this one weird character who swears he was abducted by aliens. Well, there is. He said he was abducted by aliens. He didn't want him to happen again. But the reason that little part is important is because he shows back again trying to save the day. It's a fun movie. I guess that's the best way of saying it. Now, what I did do that was different on some of these others, I will go ahead and review kind of the other special features on here. They also have a short film called, maybe 10 minutes, maybe less, it's kind of hard to remember, Death Trike, which must have been filmed some years back because it has a killer trike. Yes, exactly how it sounds. Possessed by a child who was killed on Halloween. It was kind of cute. It's not every day you see special effects where trikes are killing people, but it's a fun little different feel. And if you've seen Rubber, you kind of get that inanimate object attacking you thing. The Rubber was about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I can't even remember boredom. This was just the right length of fun. Also, they had a trailer on this film. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, do not watch the trailer on this DVD. There's a reason, and it's not trying to be mean. I'm guessing, from what I understand, is whoever, kind of the backstory of getting the company that released the DVD and so on, they sent a print of the trailer to them. Had some of the little special things you put on. Well, Jackass has left the whole thing. So you have about 30 seconds of the red, white, blue colored things that you get back in the day when the things are going off TV at like 3 p.m. or 11 a.m. midnight, 11 p.m. midnight, back in the day before channels were 24 hours. And then a little thing before you get the trailer. Just go on YouTube, find the one that's about a minute long, and watch that one if you really want to see the trailer. Don't pick the minute and 45. What I find really interesting of all the features, and including, I hate to say it, I liked it even better than the movie, was the behind the scenes. Now I can't tell you how long it truly was because I was watching it between trick-or-treaters coming, so they'd be pausing and going back and forth. Behind the scenes was interesting because if you've ever tried filming something, this gives you all the challenges that are mentioned on it. What I'm more surprised is the way the film looks with the lighting, which if you've ever seen lighting on films, you'll notice sometimes that can make it look like you have a whole different camera. They had only a handful of lighting, and they made that movie look great considering most of the shoots were at night and everything could be seen clearly. It wasn't like a dim, like probably how this looks now because we're outside. But it was really good lighting, great practical effects, showed how the people were basically just working on the weekend and doing stuff. I don't know how the ingenuity that they came up with things. Like, I would have thought, hey, let's ask these people, hey, can we film at your place? And they say yes. Maybe they're a little nicer up Canada than down here. No, that's not true. You just need to have connections or know how to BS well, which is a life lesson for everyone. Documentary I would definitely watch. It gives you great insight on that if you're wanting to filmmake kind of how much people put into this. So I would probably give Werewolf Fever about a 6.5, 7. But oh, one other thing to notate: the werewolf itself. Not the person in the werewolf costume, but the werewolf costume. It was an interesting looking werewolf costume. It is not what anyone would say a traditional werewolf would look like. In fact, someone's belt is really bad on their car. It is not what I would say a traditional werewolf would look like. The face almost reminds me of the ghoulies in the first ghoulie movie, but at least they had some costume. It didn't look like a person. It did look like a mutant, half person, half animal of some sort, but I don't know. Whatever. It was interesting. We'll just leave it at that. But what I would say for the movie itself, I'd probably give it a 6.5. The documentary I really loved, and maybe because I love documentaries, I would probably give that like an 8.5, almost a 9. But I love documentaries. I can watch Machete Maidens. What is it? Machete Maidens Unleashed? I cannot remember it. I'll probably watch it when I get back in. But this is really good. It's a cute movie. It's not too long. You can watch all the special features of the movie and everything and probably have time to kill. It's a great fun movie to watch as well. So, I wrapped that up. I feel like I probably wasted about half an hour of your time. It's probably closer to 45 minutes though. No, half an hour.
30.
The more I drink, the quicker I review. The only other thing to state is I'll probably try and do these more often. I hope you're not taking me as a regular reviewer who knows everything about movies, because trust me, I just know what I like. And if you like what I like, then hey, I want you to watch what I watch. And hell, my friend Tom knows way more movies than I do, and I want to watch more movies that he has. I did went ahead. I'm going to track down The Sinful Dwarf. I know it's probably going to be the crappiest movie in the world, though there is probably a midget sex scene, I think. I'm tracking that one down. I have to watch it. I have to review it. Also, the people who were the filmmakers in this were in some documentary called American Horror Business or Horror Business. I don't know. No, it's not American because they're not American. Horror Business. So I got that. I'm going to check that out. In addition, I'll probably throw something else in. I'll eventually do a con review again. Actually, maybe we'll do it after this. Thank you. Have fun. If you got movie recommendations, please give them to me. I love knowing movies that I haven't seen. Weird, obscure, anything. Okay, thank you. Have a good night.